Okay, so medical AI,
Yeah.
right? Feels like it's blowing up everywhere you look these days.
It is. It is.
And honestly, getting to deep dive into this with you is perfect because that episode you had us listen to, Medical AI Practice and
Yeah.
Innovation,
Oh, yeah.
so good.
Professor Zerno and Dr. Ultrakova.
The best, right?
Such a good listen. And I love how they bring both sides because, you've got Professor Zerno, who's like the AI brain.
Little expert.
And then Dr. Ultrakova actually uses the stuff in her practice.
Every day.
Yeah.
So it's not just theory. It's like, how's this actually playing out?
Totally.
So for anyone listening, consider this your crash course. If you only had 15 minutes to get up to speed on medical AI, this is it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, first things first, we got to kind of unpack, like, what are we even talking about when we say medical AI? Because you hear neural networks and everyone's like,
It's a buzzword.
it's a total buzzword. But, like, how does that actually work, right? In a hospital, what does that even mean?
Right, because it's not sci-fi anymore. It's like real.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because they mentioned this system, MYCIN, from like the 60s,
Oh, wow.
way back when.
Yeah.
And it was using AI to diagnose blood infections.
Seriously.
But can you imagine the computing power back then?
Oh, I know. It's like night and day, right?
It's like night and day. So what MyCIN was trying to do with, like, I don't know, probably kilobytes of data,
Yeah.
we're doing now with exponentially more.
With exponentially more. And that's why it's moving so fast now. Because it's like, I don't know, it's like the difference between, sending a telegram versus like...
Streaming on super speed.
Yes.
Streaming a 4K movie.
It's just a whole different world.
It is, totally.
And that speed is what makes it so powerful for healthcare, right? Because if you think about analyzing thousands of scans, test results, things that would take a human forever. This can do it like that snaps fingers.
Yeah.
But, okay, before we get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Let's break down some of the key ways AI is actually being used today. Because it is happening now.
It's happening now, yeah. Like, a great place to even start is diabetic retinopathy.
Okay, yeah.
They gave, I thought, a really good example in the podcast of, like, this AI system that analyzes eye scans.
Right.
And it does it crazy accurate, like scarily accurate.
Better than humans.
Yeah.
Better than some human specialists, yeah.
Wow.
And way faster. I mean, way faster, obviously. But
And that's huge, right? Because like you said, with something like that, early detection is key.
Totally.
So it makes you think, what other things could we be catching sooner?
Yeah.
If we have this ability.
Absolutely. And it's not just speed, right? Like they were talking about how AI can personalize cancer treatments.
Oh, yeah.
Which you hear personalized medicine.
Right.
But this is like next level.
That's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that example, I wrote it down because it was so crazy. The lung cancer one.
Yeah.
Where they're analyzing the tumor.
The genetics of it.
And it was like, boom, this is the treatment plan just for you.
Yeah. It's not one size fits all anymore.
No. And they said it increased survival rates by 15%.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible.
It's wild.
It really speaks to how it helps us understand these really complex diseases in ways that we couldn't before.
Right. Like our brains just can't compute that much.
Exactly.
But then it made me think, too, because it's not just like in the lab analyzing data, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's changing how doctors are interacting with patients.
Totally.
In real time.
Yeah, and that's where I think telemedicine comes in, right?
Yeah.
That was a big thing they talked about, like how this is, the AI is like on the leading edge of this whole telemedicine shift.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because you can be anywhere and be diagnosed.
And even treated, potentially.
Right. Which is amazing for people who can't leave their homes.
Absolutely. Think about like rural communities.
Yeah.
People with mobility issues. It really opens up access.
So it makes me think, though, like, what does this mean for doctors? You know, if AI can be like, here's the diagnosis, here's what I think you should do.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Like, what happens to the doctor?
Right.
And I think what it comes down to is that, AI is really, really good at analyzing data, right?
Yeah.
And picking up on patterns.
Yes.
That maybe we wouldn't see, but it's still humans that have the empathy.
Yes.
And like the critical thinking skills.
Yes.
And that understanding of like the individual patient.
That human touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
That AI can't replicate.
It's like that gut feeling you were talking about.
Exactly.
Like you've seen this 1,000 times.
Hey, that intuition you build up.
You can't program that.
Not yet, at least. Right.
Right.
So I think that's why, they kept saying it's not about replacing doctors. It's about figuring out
how it works together.
That's it. How it works together.
Which I think is a perfect segue to something I was thinking about as I was listening, which is, okay, This all sounds amazing,
Yeah.
but are there risks?
Oh, for sure.
Like, what could go wrong?
Right.
Because they talked about that a little bit in the episode.
They did, and it's something, to be very aware of.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that came up was bias.
Oh, interesting.
The algorithms themselves
Yeah.
can be biased.
Because of the data they're trained on.
Just like that old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
100%.
So if you're not careful about the data that's being used to train these AI systems, you're going to end up with results that are
Skewed.
biased, not accurate.
Yeah. And it's tough, right? Because how do you even begin to untangle that?
Right. And that's where I think, again, it comes back to the human side of things.
Doctors have to be really careful.
Yeah, you can't just blindly trust it.
Like, oh, the AI said it, so it must be true.
Exactly. You have to be like, hold on, let me think about this. Let me look at the whole picture.
Be skeptical almost.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting because it's almost like AI is pushing us.
To be better doctors.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like more aware.
More aware of our own biases, for sure.
Right. Because we all have them.
Absolutely.
But it's like now it's being highlighted.
It's right there in our face.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, like, how do you even begin to train new doctors?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How do you even teach this?
Right. Because it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
If I was going into med school today, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I need to know how to diagnose stuff.
Yeah.
But I also need to know how to work with this AI.
You know how to question it.
And know when it's wrong.
Yes, exactly. And like you were saying, recognize those biases.
It's like a whole other level of thinking.
Totally. And they talked about this, they touched on this in the podcast, but like, we need a new kind of doctor almost.
Like trained differently.
Yeah. Like they still need all that foundational knowledge.
Yeah.
But then this other layer on top of it.
Like working with AI, understanding data.
Yeah. Data literacy for doctors.
Which is wild.
It's wild. Makes you wonder, like, where are we even going to be in 10 years?
I know. Will doctors even be doing diagnoses anymore?
Right. Or will they be more like overseeing?
Like the AI is doing its thing and they're like, yep, that's good to me.
Yeah. 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 Good job, AI. You got this.
Crazy.
So many questions, right?
I know.
But I think if we take away anything from like the podcast and even just talking about it,
Yeah.
it's that this is here to stay.
Oh, yeah. AI is not going anywhere.
No. Medical AI is going to be huge.
It's going to be huge and it's exciting.
It's super exciting.
It's also a little like...
a little nerve-wracking.
A little nerve-wracking, yeah.
You're sure?
But for anyone listening who's like, okay, I'm hooked. I need to know more.
Yes. Listen to it.
Go listen to the full episode.
Medical AI, practice and innovation.
So good. You will not regret it. It's jam-packed with info. And honestly, I feel like we could do a whole other deep dive.
Oh, easily.
That's on that one episode. But
there's just so much there.
We'll save it for next time.
Part 2.
Part 2. But until then, thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for exploring this with us.
And stay curious.